right. The next speaker really doesn't need an introduction, but I'm gonna go through this anyways. Our next speaker stands as a powerful voice for conservative values, notably serving as the esteemed chairman of the Oklahoma Freedom Caucus. His background is one of dedicated service and deep-rooted commitment to national security, highlighted by his role as a U.S. Naval Intelligence Officer. At the Oklahoma Capitol, Senator Jett is widely regarded as one of the most conservative and influential legislators, consistently advocating for principles of limited government, fiscal responsibility, and individual liberty. Further underscoring his distinguished record and alignment with conservative leadership, Senator Jett also proudly holds the distinction of being a Trump appointee. Everybody, please welcome my friend, my good friend and colleague and warrior, Mr. Senator Shane Jett.
Thank you, Representative Shaw. It's always an honor to come on this property and talk to patriots about that building behind you. Let's do some crowd participation real quick. I want you to turn around. I don't know, you'll look at that building. Turn around and look at that building. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your building. It is your tax dollars that cover the electric bill, and from the foundation to the tip of the Guardian, this is your building. This is your land. And in God we trust. Not in Benjamin Franklin and the almighty dollar. Not in the power of lobbyists. Not in corporations. Two things. God and the Constitution of the United States is the only guiding documents that we need, the Bible and the Constitution, to align our values with what really is in the best interest of the people of Oklahoma. What we have going on in that building behind you is peddling power and purchasing of your representatives' time, attention, and energy that should be dedicated to representing people that's standing here on this plaza. Just this past Thursday, we had Senate Bill 1122 to pass. Now, this is about broadband, and we're here talking about wind energy. But the truth is, we're talking about corporations that have reconfigured themselves instead of creating economic value so that the people will beat a path to their door to purchase something that they have better prices because of competition and because of a better product. Instead, they have become a tax dollar mining corporation. They align, and I don't blame them for that. I judge them for that, but I don't blame them. Because corporations are owned by the public through investors. And the investors want them to maximize the dollars that they bring to their portfolio. That's reasonable. I'm a capitalist. But what we have is a rogue federal government, and quite frankly, a rogue state government that has figured out that they can make more monies for their personal campaign coffers if they align their interests with corporations who are mining your tax dollars from your wallets. So let's just break it down. In the Obama administration, there was a boondoggle called solar energy. And we all saw after he had left his office with his net wealth increased exponentially, that the boondoggle that was the manufacturing plant where the people in California were supposed to get free sunshine energy, and they have chains on the gates surrounding electricity. The point was moving your money into a corporation so those corporations could make taxable contributions and contributions to PACs and to politicians. Effectively, what you saw with the Obama administration on the solar panel boondoggle was what we saw after the Biden administration with USAID, sending your money overseas and then funneling back into the coffers here into Somali daycares. This is what's going on. They have perverted their mandate and their mission because they're elected by taxpayers. And we taxpayers expect them to do their job because that's what we elected them to do. But corporations have convinced them that if they can just take a little bit of your money from your pocket, put it into their corporation, then they'll be able to be generous with their contributions. They have supplanted, subverted, and perverted justice. The love of money is what? Money is not evil, it is inert. But loving money enough will cause you to hurt people to get it. Loving money enough will cause you to convince that young mother that you need to wait before you have an abortion in Planned Parenthood because they can charge more for when the baby is more developed. That's what the love of money will do. The love of money will cause you to take taxpayers' money, funnel it into solar panel corporations, back into your own campaign coffers, hoping the public doesn't notice what you're doing. Newsflash, we notice. The love of money will cause you to put up wind turbines that are subsidized so extensively that it's impossible to create energy that's actually a competitive price once you calculate all of the subsidies that go into it. They're not interested in generating electricity. They're interested in extracting wealth from your IRS forms that you file next month in April 15th. That's what they're interested in. That's right. This is why we're here. Because it's not just in Washington, D.C. or USAID where politicians have figured out that they can funnel your money into other people's coffers that will trickle back into theirs. The politicians here in Oklahoma have figured that out as well. The swamp in Washington, D.C. might be a little bit larger, but it's no more nasty than the one you find in these offices behind you. This is what's going on in Oklahoma. We have broadband who have figured out that they can siphon $1 billion from the efforts to try to provide internet access to your children and grandchildren across Oklahoma. Sounds great. But now you have companies that pivot and they figured out it's more lucrative to go after the broadband dollars that are coming from you than actually to innovate and provide and roll out those services to the people of Oklahoma who have paid for it. See, they're paying them to provide something to you that you're going to pay for to receive. Now you tell me if that's not convoluted and wrong. $1 billion have come in federal funds into this building and been redistributed to private companies. One's in my district, one's down in Lawton, broadband companies, cell phone companies, who take that money and then use it to elect politicians who are committed to giving them even more of your money. This is what's going on in Oklahoma. One company received one grant allocation, $43.5 million. That company has paid $750,000 in individual contributions to politicians who you know, who names you know, and into the corner offices and to their PACs. Guess how they spent that money in 2024? $380,000 spent against me in my campaign. $380,000 smearing me, the chairman of the Oklahoma Freedom Caucus, saying I was a liberal. Pictures of me breaking out piggy banks with a sledgehammer, saying I was spending too much of the taxpayer dollars, as if they care. Pictures of me setting money on fire. Pictures of me flushing money down the toilet. Pictures of me in a communist Chinese uniform, saying Jett is helping the Chinese Communist Party. This was on TV. Helping the Chinese Communist Party buy farmland and turn it into illegal grow houses. But here's the truth. My people back in Pottawatomie County, where my family have lived for over 100 years, know me and my family. We worship at their church. We go to their FFA banquets. We support their children's events all across Oklahoma, the ribbon cuttings. We know our district and our district know us. No weapon formed against us shall prosper. Almost $500,000 smearing me for 16 weeks straight, with $42,000 raised from people just like you. In fact, some of you in this audience wrote me checks, and we're grateful for that. No weapon formed against us shall prosper. We had 4 opponents and we won without a primary. Because if your elected officials represent you, instead of ingratiating themselves to the lobbyists of Nextera, the lobbyists for these corporations that are funneling money into leadership so that they will hear bills, because the bill on Thursday, in addition to the $43 million that one corporation got and the $1 billion that spread across Oklahoma, they were asking to do a property tax reform so that they would not have to pay $20 million back to the counties where they were working. Meanwhile, that same leadership are trying to block efforts to give you homestead exemption so that you will not have to be renters to the state of Oklahoma for the rest of your foreseeable future. They represent the people who write them checks instead of representing the people who provide all the tax dollars that they're very happy to spend on your behalf. They call it economic development.
Yeah, right.
They call it workforce development, the new one. They're really excited about that. They appoint their spouses to committees so that they can oversee that. They establish the lead committee. Look it up. So that anyone who's coming to the governor or to the state of Oklahoma asking for preferential treatment or tax favors for them to move their corporations here, they have to go through the lead committee in order to be vetted. That is early warning for them to know who to begin asking for contributions. If you want something from the taxpayers of Oklahoma, we represent the taxpayers. Would you like to make a nice, sizable contribution to my PAC or to my personal campaign? This is what's going on in that building behind you. This is the reason why you have wind energy coming in, is because they want to mine your tax dollars, and then they want to convince this building to restrict your ability to assure your children that they're safe in their homes at night because the blades are not sloughing off and sending particles into their bedrooms at night. Even though they provide that protection for schools, they provide that protection for where they live in their corporate headquarters, they will not provide it for agriculture because they're confident they can buy off your representatives. That is not the truth when it comes to Jim Shaw, your state representative, who's a rock star from Chandler, Oklahoma, who is the secretary for the Oklahoma Freedom Caucus. Because what we intend to do with the Freedom Caucus is what you intend to do. Make sure that the public are aware of those politicians who have been bought off, who are paid off, who are sold out, and those that actually represent the taxpayers back home. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for caring enough for this republic and this state to hold your elected officials accountable, and we will continue to fight. Light up their phones, light up their emails, come up here and meet with them and make sure that they know we see them, we're watching them, and we will hold them accountable in their primaries this year in Oklahoma, because 2027 is the promised land. I believe we're going to have a critical mass for the first time in Oklahoma history of true conservatives in that building that will begin representing taxpayers and not corporations who want to extract wealth from them. God bless you, and thank you for being here today.